Welcome to my new channel, The Savvy Historian, where myself, brother, and friends spin tales from history. Please like and subscribe, it really does help us. Alright, let's get right into it. Picture this. It's the end of World War II, and Allied soldiers are making these absolutely mind-blowing discoveries. Hidden away, deep underground in old mines, in bunkers, even on abandoned trains, they're finding literal mountains of stolen treasure. This isn't just any treasure hunt. This is the story of one of the biggest and most sinister in all of history. And that quote right there from the investigators who looked into this, it just says it all, doesn't it? We're not talking about soldiers grabbing a few things on the battlefield. No. This was something else entirely. This was a systematic, continent-wide heist on an industrial scale. So to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look at two things. First, just how much was stolen, and second, and this is the really crucial part, where did it all come from? So how much are we talking about? Wow, just look at that number. $20 billion. And that's just the gold in today's money. It's a figure so huge it's almost hard to even picture, right? But behind that abstract number, well, that's where you find the life savings, the national treasuries, and the most personal, precious belongings of millions and millions of people. So where did this incredible wealth come from? Well, it was really two very different kinds of theft happening at the same time. On one hand, you had the big stuff, right? The massive industrial-level looting of entire national banks. But then you have the other side of the coin, the deeply, deeply personal and just horrific theft. We're talking wedding rings, family jewellery, even gold fillings taken from the victims of the Holocaust. And this chart, it shows you exactly how that first part worked. It was like a playbook. The German army rolls into a country, and one of the very first places they hit is the central bank. And look at these numbers. We're talking literally tons and tons of gold bullion, just taken, snatched right out of countries like Belgium and the Netherlands. Wealth that belonged to their people. But this is where it gets really dark. Behind all those big numbers and tons of gold, you have this. When Allied soldiers finally found one of the biggest stashes of Nazi treasure in a salt mine, the official inventory listed all the gold bars, sure, but it also listed this chilling detail. 8 bags of gold rings and teeth. And that one line, that's what takes this whole story from being a huge financial crime to a true crime against humanity. Okay, so you might be thinking they were just piling all this gold up somewhere, right? Like a dragon, hoarding treasure in a cave. But nope, that wasn't the plan at all. This stolen gold had a job to do. It was the high-octane fuel for Hitler's entire war machine. Here's something a lot of people don't realise. By 1939, right before they invaded Poland, Germany was basically broke. Flat broke. Their own bank president had actually warned Hitler they were about to go under. Why? Because they'd spent every last penny building up their army. So plundering Europe, it wasn't just about greed. It was a cold, calculated move they had to make to keep the war going. So what do you do with billions in stolen gold? Well, you go shopping. To build a modern army, you need very specific stuff. Things like tungsten, which you need for shells that can pierce tank armour. Iron ore for steel, obviously. And chromium for the really powerful aircraft engines. The problem was, Germany didn't have this stuff. They had to buy it from neutral countries. And those countries had a very strict cash-only policy. And by cash, they meant gold. Okay, but here's the catch. You can't just waltz onto the world market with a bunch of stolen gold bars, right? People are going to ask questions. So, you need a middleman. A partner who's quiet, discreet, and, let's just say, willing to not ask too many questions. And for the Third Reich, that partner was Switzerland. The way they did it was actually pretty clever in a sinister way. It was called triangular trading. Here's how it worked, step by step. First, Germany takes its stolen gold to the Swiss National Bank and swaps it for clean, respectable Swiss francs. Step 2. They use those francs to buy, say, tungsten from Portugal. Then, and this is the genius part, Portugal takes those same francs right back to the very same Swiss bank and says, "I'd like to trade these for gold, please." The actual gold bars might not even have to move. They're washed clean right there in the vault. And this timeline, man, it just shows you how deep this partnership went. Look at this. It starts as a steady stream in 1940, just 20 tons. But as the war ramps up, it becomes a flood. It absolutely explodes, peaking in a staggering 120 tons in a single year, 1943. This wasn't just a side deal. This was the financial backbone of the entire German war effort. And if you're wondering just how important this was, you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to this. This is a direct quote from Hitler's top economic guy, Walter Funk. He said flat out that if Switzerland cut them off, the German war effort would collapse in just 2 months. 2 months! That's how critical this connection was. It was their economic lifeline. Okay, so we've seen how they got the gold, and we've seen how they used it to fuel their war. But that brings us to the biggest, most enduring mystery of all. When everything fell apart at the end of the war, where did all the rest of it go, right? It's the question. It's the reason people are still hunting for this treasure today. So what happened? Did the Nazis successfully hide it all in some secret bunker? Was it all just spent and gone? Or is some of it still out there, waiting to be found? Well, the answer is kind of all of the above. You've got these two totally different stories. On the one hand, you have these incredible discoveries, like the Merkers mine. The soldiers who found it called it an underground Aladdin's cave. Just imagine, over $9 billion worth of treasure in one place. But then you have these other stories like Rommel's gold. About 50 kilos of personal jewellery stolen from the Jewish community in Tunisia, and it just, poof, disappeared from history. The truth is, while finding a huge hoard like Merkers is exciting, most of the gold didn't end up like that. For the vast majority of it, the story goes something like this. You start with the theft of personal items, a wedding ring here, a necklace there. All of it gets sent to a central processing place. Then it's all melted down. All those unique, personal items with stories, they're just gone, turned into boring, anonymous gold bars. And finally, those bars are spent to buy war supplies, scattering the gold all over the world's financial system. And this quote from a historian, wow, it really brings it home. He's talking about that gold that disappeared from Tunisia, and he points out that once you melt it down, it's completely untraceable. It's just gold. Think about that for a second. A wedding band stolen from someone's finger in 1943 could have been melted down, sold, and eventually remade into something that, well, for all we know, one of us could be wearing right now. And maybe that's the real final twist in this story. The ultimate legacy here isn't about lost treasure maps or sunken chests. The truly unsettling mystery is that most of this immense stolen wealth wasn't really lost at all. It was absorbed. It dissolved back into the global economy. So, the greatest lost treasure in history might not be hiding in one secret location. It might be hiding everywhere at once, right in plain sight. To recap, we trace the gold from the vaults of Europe, through the Swiss banks, and right into the machinery of war, and potentially even into the jewellery we wear today. It's a chilling reminder that history isn't always buried. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit like and subscribe to The Savvy Historian for more. Remember, Subscribers' voices count and are heard, so let me know what you want to explore next.